Let's go. Yeah!
Welcome to the Morning Swim Show for Monday, August 1st, 2011. I'm your host, Peter Busch. Today we're looking back at the World Championships in Shanghai and looking ahead to 2012. Swimming World Magazine senior writer John Lohn has been our guy on the ground in China all week long. He joins us one last time from Shanghai. Hey, John, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Doing well, Peter. Ready to get out of here.
I know you are, buddy. Well, let's look at the week that was. For the first time in a long time, USA Swimming has got to feel better about their women's team than their men's.
The women were really, really impressive. I think they came up with, and I have to look at the final totals, it was 7 gold medals, but they have a bona fide superstar now in Missy Franklin. Dana Vollmer was tremendous. I liked where Natalie Coughlin's coming from in terms of her maneuvers toward 2012, and Rebecca Soni, what more can you say about her? Most dominant breaststroker in the world. The list goes on with Elizabeth Beisel. This team is in really good shape.
And there's great reason to be optimistic beyond just next year because Missy is only 16 years old. You got to figure she's got a couple of good runs in her. It's good for them. That's a great comfort feeling, I'm sure, for USA Swimming to know that they've got their superstar and that there's plenty of young talent still to be developed.
Yeah, because if you look at it, look, Dagny Knudsen here only had, I think, 2 swims, both in relay duty, but really came through nicely, and that was a big positive. This team is a nice combination of some veterans and some real developing talent, and that's just the way you want the makeup of a squad to look.
All right, on the men's side, Ryan Lochte was the men's swimmer of the meet. He had one of the only 2 world records in the 200 IM. He retains his title for now as the best swimmer on the planet, but obviously Michael Phelps is right behind him.
NBC cannot be more thrilled than to see what went on here, because for a full year, they're going to be able to just promote the heck out of Phelps versus Lochte, Lochte versus Phelps in London, and it's going to be one heck of a show. I see Michael going right back and putting himself 100% into his training to get everything right for his farewell. Ryan's going to go right back to what he's been doing, and obviously that's worked to make him the best guy in the world right now. We're in for a real treat in about, 362 days I think we're at?
So for all the talk of Phelps changing up his schedule after Beijing, trying new events, it really doesn't seem to have happened. He's just really lopped off the 400 IM. Is that how you expect it to go down next year? He'll try for 7 events. Lochte will try for 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think the last thing that Michael and Bob Bowman were toying with was, do we add this 100 freestyle in, which conflicted with the 200 butterfly? After this week, I'm pretty sure that is a dead plan. Michael wins the 200 fly again. We see James Magnuson from Australia take 100 freestyle into a new realm for the textile suits. It's a no-brainer at this point. Michael needs to go to the event that put him on the international map, made him a star back in Sydney and the 2001 World Championships. This is where he'll go. So, yeah, we'll see the same exact program minus the 400 IM.
And we mentioned yesterday in our final wrap-up show from Shanghai, Lochte, I could see him adding the 100 backstroke, if nothing else, so that he can get on that medley relay, give him at least a chance to match Phelps's accomplishments from Beijing.
Yeah, and to reiterate what we talked about on the previous show, he could always just swim that event at trials, then bag it on an individual basis, but the coaches will know, okay, this is what he has. The 400 IM, unlike World Championships, does not fall on the last day in the Olympics. It's an opening day event. So he would be fresh for that final, for that relay, and they could put him on the leadoff. There's no doubt Ryan Lochte's a 52 backstroker in the 100 distance.
And it could just be a play it by ear thing in London. You know, if Lochte has won 7 gold medals, which will be difficult, but if he's gotten to that point, there's no way that his own coach is going to leave him off the medley relay, at least in the prelims, give him a chance to match that.
Yeah, history will be part of the equation. There's no doubt about it, Peter.
All right, there were some other big winners in Shanghai, of course, and you mentioned one of them, James Magnussen from Australia. Looks like he is the breakout sprinting star that came out of Shanghai.
And what I'm going to be interested to see is in the next year, there's so much talk about him adding the 200 freestyle. We saw this guy come home in 24 in the 100 free, to the point where he went 47.4 and a 47.6. With the closing speed he has, and his history as a junior guy, he's been a very strong 200 freestyler. Those could be the two events he goes. Like the 200 freestyle needs anybody else to make it a great field, but if you add him to it, ooh, now we're really talking.
Had it not been for him and what he did for the Australian relays, their men would have had an abysmal meet. As it wasn't real good. But without Magnussen, I mean, they were just non-existent.
Yeah, the men were weak. Now, Australia had pegged coming into the meet as a whole, females and males, to exceed the 4 medals that they won in Rome, the 4 gold medals they won in Rome. They walked out of here just with 2 gold medals as a country. The women's side, though, they did have some fast swims, and so you can't knock that. It just, other people were faster. But the men's side, minus Magnussen, Brenton Rickard wasn't that good. You got a couple of medals out of the 50 fly from Matt Target and Jeff Hugel, but really it was not a good scene for the Aussie men on the whole.
Yeah, a long ways from their golden days of about a decade ago with with Hackett and Thorpe. I mean, Thorpe, I don't know what he takes away from this meet. I don't know if he thinks he can really get in the game by next year.
I take away that first of all, he's going to have a battle just to get on to the Australian 400 free relay. Now, that was a positive for them. They had 4 guys all break 48 seconds, highlighted by Magnussen. But I just don't see Ian Thorpe as a factor next year whatsoever. If he makes the team, he doesn't have the speed for the 100 freestyle. The 200's too deep. I just don't see this comeback ending well.
Well, the British obviously are feeling some pressure to perform next year in front of the home crowd in London. They finished better than they started, but if you're Denny Pursley looking at what team Great Britain did at this World Championships, you can't be tremendously optimistic.
Starting with the men's side for Great Britain, they had 1 medal, and it was Liam Tancock in a non-Olympic event, the 50 backstroke. So that's not a good sign. The women, everything hinged really. Rebecca Adlington had 2 medals, including gold in the 800 free. Ellen Gandy takes a silver in the 200 butterfly. Hannah Miley ends the meet with a nice finish in the 400 IM to take a silver. So the meet for the women, it ended better than it started. But all in all, if they don't want to look bad on their home soil, yeah, there's a lot of development. I expected much more from Great Britain than 5 total medals here.
All right, let's talk about some budding superstars coming out of this week in Shanghai. Who, other than Missy Franklin, became a household name, at least among swimming fans this year, and that next year we think will do even greater things and definitely get on the Olympic podium?
Well, real quick with Missy, and just before I throw somebody out there, at Nationals this week, she's going to be swimming 50, 100 freestyle, 100 backstroke, 200 IM. So we'll get a chance to see what she can do in a few more events. She made a deal with Todd Schmitz, her coach, that if she had the #1 ranked time in the world coming out of World Champs in any specific event, she could bypass that at Nationals. Well, that's the case now in the 200 free, 200 backstroke. So it'll be interesting to see what Missy can do at Stanford in these 4 events she's going to contest. Sun Yang is the guy. We did know Sun Yang's name, but you take down Grant Hackett's long-standing world record, the only one on the men's side to last through the super suits. This kid is going to be something else. Just can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do. In London, there's not going to be an 800 free. Obviously, it's a 400, 1500. So he'll probably add the 200 free. He's already been 144 there. This guy is going to be something else. Yi Wen, another Chinese, she's the girl who won the 200 IM. Dynamite talent, 208.90 she was. You look at her as the Olympic favorite now in that event.
Yeah, and she's so young. She's only going to get better, presumably. Only two world records, Sun Yang's and Lochtey's 200 IM. Far cry from what we saw in Rome. And most swimming purists would probably argue much better for the sport.
It was very satisfying to see the way this meet unfolded, just because it was based on hard work, effort, sheer talent, and nothing beyond talent. 2 world records is the second lowest ever in a World Championships. In 1998, there were 0 in Perth. But that's okay. The 2 showed that it can be done, and the sport's going to continue to move forward. It was great swimming. There were great matchups, and this was a positive 8 days for FINA for swimming.
I think next year there's going to be enough compelling storylines and enough great races to keep swimming as the most high-profile Olympic sport. So, I mean, if that's the takeaway from what we saw in Shanghai, I think swimmers got to feel pretty happy about it.
It's just so much more global than it's ever been. I think 15 countries won gold medals this week. We saw Norway with Alexander De Leon win a gold. This is just tremendous. Lotte Friis from Denmark. Jeanette Ottesen also from Denmark. We're starting to see the wealth spread even further. And like you said, Peter, that can only be good for the sport to be reaching further and further.
And that's what makes Team USA's performance impressive. I mean, the sport is getting more global. It's harder and harder to keep the grip as the superpower in swimming, but they still won far more medals than everyone else. So while there were some moments where you looked at what Team USA did this week and thought, ooh, there's some reason to be concerned, all in all, they're still the dominant power in swimming, both men and women. And again, I think just to wrap it up, the women have got to feel really, really good about next year and beyond.
Yeah, everything really unfolded well. Look, the United States got off to a little bit of a slow start, but man, did it pick up steam. To end with 29 medals, which was more than twice the next nation, which was China, to have 16 gold medals, 15 of those in Olympic events, 15 of the 32 Olympic events, the gold medal was won by the United States. That's huge. That's dominance. And so the momentum that was taken out of here by the U.S. can only be viewed as big time important for the prep toward London, because that's the road we're on now.
And I think we've seen the last time where the U.S. does its qualifying meet for any major meet so far in advance, because I think that we would have had a chance to see some better young talent and just better overall swimming. I think there were a lot of people who, were just flat out faster last year than they were this year, and it wasn't their fastest team. So I don't think they'll be making that mistake anytime soon.
It's a tough format to do it that way, because like you said, Peter, August of 2010 to July 2011, a lot happens in 11 months, especially in this sport. So the people that you're expecting to be on target necessarily aren't going to be there. Missy Franklin is denied a chance to swim a number of other events and shine even more individually. I like the format where the team is selected much closer to the meet at hand.
I think that's what we'll see from here on out. John, great analysis all week long from Shanghai. It was great talking to you, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Peter, thank you.
All right, that's John Lohn from Shanghai. I'm Peter Busch here in the Swimming World Studios, reminding you to keep your head down at the finish.